Now, I already know what you guys are thinking. You're thinking, Eric, iPhones just came out. Like, it hasn't even been a full month since they came out. They're just now doing reviews and everything like that. But I guarantee you're gonna like these leaks. What is going on, guys? Eric White in the building, and no, I did not use my last name, unfortunately. And welcome back to the channel. We are back in the original setup for now, and today we are going to be talking about the new iPhones that are supposed to be coming out next year for 2020, which, by the way, sounds so crazy saying the year 2020 because it seems so futuristic. And anyway, that's a different story. But the new iPhones, yes, I know the iPhones just came out less than a month ago. People are still doing reviews, people are still getting them into their hands and everything like that. But if you have not bought these new iPhones, the ones that just came out, I guarantee you're going to like these leaks, and it's going to be worth the wait if you didn't upgrade this year. With that said, let's get into some of the design changes that we are going to be seeing with these new iPhones. And I think the biggest and best change that they're going to be making with these new iPhones is that no notch, or maybe a smaller notch display. Now, with the iPhone 10, they introduced that notch, and you either loved it or hated it. Some people got used to it. Some people chose not to upgrade because they didn't like that notch. And I'm just in general very glad to see that we are not going to be seeing that, or even hopefully a smaller version. Now, speaking of screen, we are also going to be getting OLED panels for all of the iPhones, not just the upper range models. Previously, in this year's models and even in last year's models, they had a sort of separation in the screen technology. You would be getting the LCD display with the iPhone XR and the regular iPhone 11. But next year in 2020, we're going to be having all OLED screens, and the regular 12, the 12 Pro, and the 12 Pro Max, which is still a terrible name to say, or whatever they decide to call them. There's going to be all OLED panels for all of the models that they have for these new iPhones, which I'm very excited about. Now, the screens are going to be getting a little bit of a change in terms of size. We're going to be having a 5.52 inch, a 6.06 inch, and a 6.67 inch. So because that notch is gone, and I'm assuming they're going to be slimming the bezels down just slightly, is going to account for that slightly bigger size. So I think it's going to be pretty nice in the hands and look very nice and sleek overall. Now, one of the things that I'm very excited to see about this phone is the variable refresh rate. Now, last year, I think it was this year's models, I'm not exactly sure, we saw a 60 hertz refresh rate on the screen when they were showing all the features for the new iPhone. But what that actually meant was that it was going to be scanning your phone 60 times a second to see where your touch was. So it was a touch scanning 60 hertz refresh rate, not a screen refreshing 60 times a second. And hopefully that makes some sense. Now, we're going to be seeing a variable refresh rate in these phones. I'm not sure if that means it can go up to 60, 90, 120. Some critics say that's going to be around 90 hertz, but either way, it's going to be a very welcome addition to all these new iPhones. Now, with that new screen, we're also supposed to be getting an in-display fingerprint scanner, which we have been wanting for a pretty long time. There have been rumors floating around that Touch ID was supposed to be coming back to these new iPhones, and hopefully we're going to be seeing it in these new iPhones for 2020. Now, just like this year, they're going to be focusing a lot of improvements for that camera, and I think it's smart for them to do that because the iPhone 11 Pros look amazing. I don't know if you guys have seen any reviews or any camera, video, anything like that, but if you guys haven't, I'll link some videos up on the top left for you guys to go check out. They are amazing. What we have come to in phone technology and phone cameras is it's honestly amazing. But anyway, there's going to be a lot of changes to this camera in a good way. And the first thing that we're going to be looking at is actually they're supposed to be implementing some kind of 3D camera into their new iPhones. Now, this is supposed to help with some AR technologies, give you better AR performance, and just be more accurate, I'm guessing. And because they're adding a 3D camera, there's supposedly supposed to be a 4-camera upgrade to the iPhone 12 Pro Max. So instead of having the 3 that they already have, they're going to be adding a 4th one, and that 4th one is supposed to be a 3D camera, I'm guessing. And it's not just going to be a regular 3D camera. This camera is going to be a time of flight, or a TOF camera. And this is actually kind of a big deal, and let me try to explain what it means so you guys understand what it is. So basically, it's going to emit a laser that is invisible to the human eye that determines depth information. So when you put the camera up to something, it's going to shoot this invisible laser at something, and the time that it takes for that laser to come back is going to determine how far an object actually is. It's going to give it some kind of depth perception. And in theory, this is supposed to help with depth information and give you better portraits, enhance AR, and give you better like indoor navigation and everything like that. And I think it's a great idea. It's very smart and very intuitive, and I'm really interested to see how it's going to be implemented into these new iPhones. But the thing is, this isn't something new. We've seen it in phones like the Huawei P30 Pro. We've seen it in phones like the Galaxy S10 5G, which just came out, and also the LG G8 ThinQ. Now, the other thing is that this time-of-flight sensor is great, but it's also going to be up to Apple to see how they implement this technology into their software. So they can implement it in a lot of ways, but I'm guessing they're going to implement it so that it helps their AR. I'm not sure about indoor navigation, if they're going to have some kind of deal with Google or Apple Maps is going to be enhanced to give you better indoor navigation. If you're in a mall and you're looking for a specific store, it's actually going to give you accurate directions and not driving directions, if that makes any sense. So it's going to be a great camera. I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with it. Now, lastly, the other thing that I almost forgot to mention is that this sensor is able to refresh at 160 frames per second. Now, that's really great because that means with that high refresh rate and that high frames per second that the sensor is able to, accurately depict, it allows you to give really accurate blur and bokeh in the background when you're actually shooting a video. So it's not artificial and it's not weird looking, but it's actually going to be accurate because it's shooting that laser coming back at a certain time, and that's determining how far our subject is from the background, how far the background is, and it's going to blur it according to the time it takes for the laser to get back to the sensor. Now, for hardware and software, we should finally be getting 5G, and maybe only for the upper models. I'm not sure if the regular 12 is going to be getting 5G, but we should be getting some kind of 5G capabilities with these new iPhones, which honestly should have been in these iPhones, but we're not going to talk about that. We're also getting that A14 chip, which is going to be super awesome. The A13, the A12, they're all amazing chips. They're almost outperforming pretty much every chip that's on the market right now. Snapdragon, Exynos, Qualcomm, everything like that. Qualcomm and Snapdragon are the same thing, but they're pretty much outperforming all those other chipsets, so the A14 should be no exception. We're also going to be getting that iOS 14, and what that is going to bring, I still have no idea up until this point. The new iPhone just barely came out with iOS 13. So iOS 14 should be a welcome improvement. I'm guessing they're going to be some kind of speed implementations, some AR capabilities, some camera features that we're not getting in iOS 13, just overall general updates for what comes with any other iOS update. Now, this is something that should have been on this year's iPhones, but for some reason it just wasn't, and that is reverse wireless charging. Now, this has been on the Samsung Galaxy S10. I think it was on the Huawei Mate 30 Pro or the Mate 20 Pro. And it basically allows you to wirelessly charge your Galaxy Buds, in theory, for the Samsung. And I'm guessing in this one, it's supposed to allow you to charge your Apple AirPods if that's what you want to do. Maybe your Apple Watch, I'm not exactly sure. And maybe even another iPhone. How they decide to implement it is going to be up to them, but reverse wireless charging is going to be a very welcome addition to these new iPhones for 2020. Now, the last thing that we should be getting on these new iPhones is actually the capability to use an Apple Pencil with these new iPhones. Now, I'm not exactly sure how we're going to be able to do that, where you're going to be able to store it when you're not using it. Just big questions in general, but you are going to be able to use it if you want to draw, if you want to use it like an S Pen or anything like that. I'm not sure exactly how practical it's going to be, but we are going to be getting those capabilities with these new iPhones. But in general, that's about it. That is all we are getting for this new iPhones for 2020, and overall, I'm pretty excited about these. Honestly, a lot of these changes, the no notch, the reverse wireless charging, and a few other things that were on that list, I kind of wanted to see in this year's iPhones, and I'm sure a lot of people wanted to see that, but I think they purposely held back so that when these new iPhones do come out next year, they're more impactful, we're more happy about them, they're actually worth an upgrade and everything like that. But let me know what you guys' favorite feature is. If there's a feature that you think I missed, if there's anything that you guys want me to make a video on, do it with a comment down below. If you guys liked the video, make sure you click that like button, turn it blue. If you guys are new, click the sub button, join the Innovation Nation. And just like always, I see you guys in the next one.